Hey everyone, Chris of Midlife Crisis Media here for the sixth part of my Sony PlayStation 4 editions of the Video Game Collection 2023 live streams. This is going to be 7 parts. I originally thought 6. No, it's going to have to be 7. And then there's also going to be a PSVR episode. So technically 8 involving the PlayStation 4. So yeah. So anyway, welcome. Glad to see so many people are here off the bat. That is fantastic. How's everybody doing tonight? Got pretty decent stack of games to talk about tonight. But before I get into it, why do I do these streams? And if Mondane is here, chime in, please. It's fun. It's good content for the channel. I get to talk to awesome people, and it's good to have a record of my collection just in case something bad happens. What's up, Stubby? What's up, Diabetes? Diabetes. Welcome. Haven't seen you here before. Welcome. All right, so let's just dive right in. So we're going to start off with a banger, and that is the Game of the Year edition of Spider-Man. So just like I normally do when a massive open world style game, or basically any game nowadays that is like a AAA game, I know there's going to be DLC available for it at some point. And I don't want to buy a full price game and then have to pay extra money for DLC to keep the content going. Eventually you pay over like $100 sometimes. Like when it comes to like the Callisto Protocol, you could probably pay more. But I'm not paying all that money for a game and all this content that should be in the game to begin with. So I always wait, and normally a Game of the Year or complete edition will come out down the line, maybe like a year or a year and a half later. So I always wait for that, and that's exactly what happened with Spider-Man. I did not play it off the bat. I played it like a year and a half later, and still a great game a year and a half later. Didn't need to play it right off the bat. This has not only the core game, but the DLC, The City That Never Sleeps, with additional missions and challenges. And it's a fantastic open world game. I think Insomnia, God, I haven't coughed all day. I start streaming and blah. It's a fantastic game. Insomniac knocked it out of the park. Why am I coughing all of a sudden? Jesus, my throat is like going crazy all of a sudden. And the graphics are fantastic. The play control is amazing. Swinging through the city is super awesome and like fluid and fun. Sometimes I was just swinging around, see how high I could possibly get, and then fall back down and then do that whole like physics fall swing, get a massive swing out of that too. Run up the side of buildings, perch myself at the top of the Avengers Tower and got an achievement or a trophy for it. It is so goddamn good. I remember the only issues that I had with this and the DLC was what's her name? Screwball, I think is the name. The social media girl that like makes you jump through all these stupid hoops for like her little side mission games. That part pissed me off. I was like, I'm not having that. So you know what? I never did platinum this. I know a lot of my YouTuber friends, gamer friends did. I didn't because I did not want to play those sections because I thought they were horrible. So outside of that, this game is pretty goddamn amazing. I absolutely loved it. Still haven't bought part 2 because there's going to be DLC for that, and they've already announced it. I'll wait for the Game of Year version of that as well. Yeah, Callisto Protocol is one of them, Stubby. I bought it off the bat. I bought it day one because I was really excited about it because everyone was saying, or the reviews, not the reviews, but like the hype was saying that it was like this successor to sorry. Now I can't talk either, apparently. It was like the successor to Dead Space. So I was super excited about it because I love Dead Space. And then like the day I bought it, I started talking to Rocket Sauce from the Cartridge Club, and he's like, no, dude, there's like 3 DLC packs, and if you want to buy, or if you want these like finishing moves, you have to pay for them separately and costumes and like stuff like that. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, dude, just wait for the Game of the Year edition. Because I guess he was doing the same thing. I was like, okay, fine. So I brought it back, and there will not be a Game of the Year edition for that, from what I understand, because the game did not sell well. So they're not going to bother putting it back out. So when I heard that, I found out that it was available for free because I have PlayStation Plus. It was like one of the free downloadable games for the month. So I was just kind of like, well, I guess this is the only way I'm going to play it. So I got it for free. So yeah, that's what I'm still waiting for. Spider-Man 2, obviously. The one that I do want is still, Mortal Kombat 1. I'm going to wait for the complete version of that. I've tried buying that game twice, and it has not happened. I'll explain at the pickups at the end of the month next week about how it didn't happen again this month. Horizon Forbidden West just got a Game of the Year edition. I did buy it at the beginning, but I bought the PS4 version, which was cheaper than the PS5 version, just upgraded to the PS5 version. But I'm going to get rid of it and get the complete version because I have not played the extra content yet. But outside of that, yeah, I usually wait until the complete versions come out. Usually they do. I want to say maybe one time out of 25, it doesn't, like with Callisto. But anyway, moving on. Got this off of Amazon for like $10 or something. The only reason I have it, I still have not played it yet, and it is called Star Renegades. It just says resist, reclaim, revive, repeat. Tactical action, an amazing world, endless possibilities. To me, it looks like a side-scrolling platformer, so I'm assuming it's like a roguelike because you're going to die and then come back again. But sci-fi themed for $10, I was not going to pass it up, even though I had never heard of it before. You know me. I see a deal, I buy it. I'm like my dad with food. My dad, when he was still alive, would go to the grocery store, and if it was on sale, he would buy it just because it was on sale. And half the time, he would just throw it in the freezer and forget that he had bought it. It was food. I do that with video games. Next up is something I probably should have played already because of what it is, but I have not. Maybe I'll play it while I'm on vacation this week and next. I still have all of next week to play all this kind of stuff, and there's a PS5 upgrade available for free, so why not? That is Star Trek Prodigy Supernova. So I've only seen a handful of this show that started off on Paramount Plus. For some reason, Paramount Plus canceled it. Star Trek is their flagship thing on Paramount Plus. All the Star Trek is on Paramount Plus, but they canceled it for whatever reason, and from what I understand, it was because they wanted to do that whole tax write-off thing, where if you pull content off your streaming platform, you get like a tax break at the end of the year, because I know that Paramount is like in the red when it comes to Paramount Plus. They've lost considerable money and they were trying to get some money back, but Netflix just picked it up to continue the story because I guess it ended with a cliffhanger. So starting, I think, this week at the end, maybe tomorrow, it's supposed to be on Netflix, and then they're going to start making new episodes. But anyway, I've only seen a handful of episodes of this. And from what I understand, this is a tactical, like XCOM style game. I have not played it yet. Like I said, I will eventually, because you know me and Star Trek, we got a thing going on. It just says Dal and Gwendala race against time to save their friends. What is that? Oh God, I cannot read this type. There's new alien species. Supernova destroys them all. Transport yourself into the show Star Trek Prodigy. Make first contact with a new alien species. Battle a new nemesis in thrilling combat. Explore 3 strange new worlds. Maybe it is just an open world game. I don't know. Like I said, I have not played it yet, so I will eventually. This one. Why am I coughing? I haven't coughed all day. Probably because I took all these games off the shelf and they're a little bit dusty, and I'm inhaling the dust. Because every time I breathe in it, because I get a little kind of like stutter. So I'm assuming I'm inhaling the dust. Anyway, I owned Star Wars Battlefront when it first came out, and I thought it was okay. It was kind of light on content, but I did love the Starship Battle section of it, because a lot of it is, well, originally it was a first-person online shooter. There was no offline mode. It was always just, you're always online, battling other people who are online. I hate that type of game normally, but I'm a huge Star Trek fan, yeah. I'm a huge Star Wars fan as well. And the prospect of playing with my friends, which is the reason why I wanted to buy this, my buddy Justin was going to buy this as well. Originally, I bought this on the Xbox One, because that was the console my buddy Justin bought it on. And we played together online. I absolutely sucked at the first-person shooter parts of this. I would always get my ass handed to me, no matter what I tried, no matter what layout I had for like the augments for your character and all that. I sucked at it. I would always get killed. I'd pop up and I'd immediately get killed again. I just sucked at it. But when it came to the aerial combat part, I dominated that shit. I would come in first place all the time. I've always been good at those kind of games. Those, me, my wing commander. So that part I played all the time online, and I was just whooping people's asses left and right. But I eventually got rid of it because it went off. I don't know if it is offline. Maybe it is now, but I stopped playing it at some point, and I got rid of it. And then I found out that there is a PSVR demo you can play that has to do with Rogue One. So I picked it up again at GameStop for like $5 used, just so I could try the PSVR version. Maybe I should be talking about this in the PSVR stream now, but as the game itself, but I'm talking about the game itself, the core game. It was okay. Part 2 was where it was at, as far as I'm concerned, because not only was it more of the same, but better from what the original Battlefront was, this one also had a story mode, a single-player offline mode that actually had a really decent story that had a bunch of characters dealing with, like, there were Imperials who were on Endor when the Death Star got blown up, and you get to see it blow up from, like, the ground level, and it's pretty awesome. And they realize that they've kind of what have we done with our lives? The Empire is over. What do we do now? And it's like them trying to atone for what they had been doing as Imperials, which I thought was really, really cool. I think Janina Gavankar is the lead in it, and she's great. She was on True Blood, and she does a lot of voiceover work now, too. When it came to the first-person shooting stuff in this, I was better at it in this version. This also had like a lot of those pay-to-win kind of things, like with the loot boxes and stuff, but like everyone was like, I'm not buying that game because I'm not playing that type of thing. And they put the kibosh on it like before the game even came out. They got rid of all that stuff, and you just earn all that stuff just by playing the game. You can still pay for certain things if you wanted to, but you didn't have to. So I remember it got a lot of crap when it was coming out, but I don't think it was deserved. It's really, really fun. The online dogfighting mode is a little different in this one. Not nearly as good as it was in the original, but I still played it quite a bit. And I ended up playing more of the online first-person matches with my buddy Justin, who I would watch him, like, he recorded himself a couple of times and had, like, videos of him playing it put on his YouTube channel. And he was, like, he was dominating shit. And I'm like, I couldn't do that. I'm good at first-person shooters, but I suck at them online, which is why I never play that kind of stuff online. What's up, Retro Coop? What's up, Man Boy Cave? Hit that like button. Yes, please. J-Chip, what's up? What's really hood, suckers? One of the best VR missions. Yeah, that whole Rogue One thing, that was pretty rad. I like it. I like it. Anyway, I'm going to talk about... I'll bring that one out again for the VR episodes. But we started a thing, because now we're going to be talking about all these goddamn Star Wars games that I have in my collection here. There's a lot. And a lot of these... How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these came from Limited Run. To do the review, really? Yeah, I remember like a bunch of people at work were talking about how they weren't going to buy it because of the whole loot box thing. And my buddy Justin was talking about it. But then like EA listened and took all that stuff out before the game, I think, even released. So like if you bought it day one, you didn't have to deal with that stuff because they were like, okay, fine, people aren't into it. We're not going to do it. They just wanted the game to sell. And I ended up waiting to buy Battlefront 2. I got it on Black Friday, I do believe. at Jason of Corpse Flood Gaming, he recommended it to me, and he was like, dude, if you want to just play the single player, it's great. And yeah, I beat the single player, I want to say like in 2 or 3 days. And it was fun. It was. And then I went and played the online stuff, and it was, I think part 2 is better when it comes to the first person stuff than the first. The first one had the better online vehicle stuff. Fallen Order, yeah, they definitely did with the Jedi stuff. So we'll talk about these. These are all re-releases of games that came out during the GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox era. Starting off with Star Wars Bounty Hunter. This is the Jango Fett third-person shooter game. And I played it back in the day, and I thought it was a decent game. But I figured, like, I ended up pre-ordering all these thinking that they were like remasters. I don't think they are. They're all still 4 by. Why am I coughing so much? God damn. They're still all in 4 by 3. They're not in 16 by 9, widescreen for the widescreen televisions. And they do still look like PlayStation 2 games, but I don't care. I'd rather play them on the PlayStation 4 now and get some trophies. So why not? That demo thing, yeah, it was pretty rad. The first Battlefront is not. That was my big issue why I didn't want to buy it originally, was because there was no offline mode. It was all online. But I got talked into buying it by a friend of mine. We were playing it together, but I sucked at it. Except when it came to the vehicle stuff, like the spaceship mode. Pretty sure the whole EA thing was just way worse than I remember Disney actually stepping in and threatening to pull their license if it wasn't fixed. Get some water. I do, man. It's like these games are all dusty. I haven't coughed all day. I sit down and start talking games and my throat goes crazy. I think it's because all these are so freaking dusty. Woo. Anyway, next up is Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. I do believe this is a port of the Dreamcast Racer game, which was the better of the two. There was the Nintendo 64 version, and then there was the Dreamcast version. The Dreamcast one was the better of the two. I had both, don't get me wrong, back in the day, but I played the Dreamcast one way more. Graphics were better, the play control was a lot better, the frame rate was a lot better. But it is exactly what you think. You're picking a pod racer from a bunch of them that you saw in Episode 1, and you race. Yay! It's a decent game. I thought it was pretty fun. I wish we got a port of the arcade version. The arcade version was the shit. Your neighbor had the OG Xbox version when I was a kid, so I played it at his house. Dad hyped up Bounty Hunter as the best Star Wars game ever. I wouldn't go that far. I do remember that now, J-Chip. Next up we have... J-Chip was just talking about this one. I have the deluxe edition of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. This is the first of the Cal Kestis Star Wars games. Absolutely love this one. It's semi-open world. You get to pick where you want to go, different planets to explore. You play a person who was training to become a Jedi when Order 66 happened, went into hiding, and ends up getting sucked into the rebellion as an adult, as a young adult. And kind of has to make the decision. Do I want to start doing my Jedi thing again, or do I want to just stay in anonymity? And he ends up going the Jedi route, and you start learning new Jedi tricks and skills by having a flashback scene that you play through as your younger self. And you learn how to do like a triple jump or a double jump or whatever it is, and then now you can do it in the game, or you learn how to like throw your lightsaber and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really great. The story is great. I love all the characters, every single one of them. That ending scene with Vader, holy shit, it is fantastic. This did redeem Star Wars video games in my eyes after like everything being online with the Battlefronts. So yes, this is the one that revitalized Star Wars as a video game franchise, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I never thought Bounty Hunter was all that great. The good ones are right here. So this is probably my favorite Star Wars game up until Fallen Order. And that is Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. So this is technically the third game in the Dark Forces series that started off as Dark Forces on the PC, which was a Doom clone. I have it on the PS1. Star Wars Doom, first-person shooter. Then there was Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, where Kyle Katarn, the character you play as, finds out that he's actually has Force skills, and you start being able to do some Jedi-type things in that. And then this is a sequel to that, but they dropped the Dark Forces and kept the Jedi Knight. So instead of being Dark Forces 3 Jedi Outcast, they called it Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. This is kind of weird. It's turning into like the Rambo series. But this was my favorite Star Wars game of all time. It starts off as a first-person shooter where you're using blasters and whatnot. similar to Doom game, but with polygons. And then once you get a lightsaber, it goes into third-person mode whenever you light it up. God damn, what is happening? And those scenes are freaking amazing. Like throwing your lightsaber, the duels, all that kind of stuff. Man, I had this on the Xbox, the OG Xbox back in the day when it first came out, and I was addicted. I was playing this all the time. I beat it and played it again. I thought it was the best Star Wars game I had ever played in my life. Cal Katarn was my favorite, like, extended universe character, and I kept on saying, like, if they made more Star Wars movies, I definitely want to see one with Cal Katarn. And then Disney was like, no, all that extended universe stuff is gone, so we're never going to see Cal Katarn, even though we've gotten some extended universe characters like Thrawn in modern-day Star Wars. Maybe it'll happen. You never know. But yeah, like I said, it's a first-person shooter and a third-person game at the same time, back and forth. Fantastic. Absolutely love it. Controls are great. The graphics are great. You got the Star Wars music from John Williams as usual. It is amazing, and the story is where it counts. I absolutely loved it. Bought it day one with the guy too. Played Academy a lot on PC. Beskman Bap was so fun. Cough drops? No, I don't. But I don't know why I'm coughing. Like I said, it just started. I did have some work done on my place, my kitchen, and my bathroom, so it kicked up a lot of dust. I'm assuming these have gotten kind of dusty, so that's probably what it is. Never beat the single-player modes. Oh, my God, I love it. And then we have the sequel to that, which kept the Jedi Knight, but dropped the numerals and got a different subtitle. So now you've got Star Wars Jedi Knight. Should be Jedi Knight 3. Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and it picks up where that left off, but now Cal Katarn is running a Jedi training academy, and you're playing as the trainees. Same kind of concept, but for the most part, you're in third person because everybody in this game is a Jedi and has lightsabers. It's fun. I think it's really good. It's not nearly as good as Jedi Outcast. That one is my favorite of all time, but this one is a close second. But the Star Wars Jedi games that are available now are beating those to death. 'Tis the season. Yep. And then we have the sequel to Star Wars Racer. So we have Star Wars Racer Revenge. This, I do believe, came out on the PS2. I don't know if it ever came out on the Xbox. But it's just more of the same, just better. Like, there's more cars to choose from and characters, and the tracks are a little more varied. Because they were kind of limited to what you saw in the movie and planets that the characters came from the movie. Now, but this one, they can do whatever the hell they wanted. And it's better. It is definitely better. I like it a lot. But if you like the first one, you're going to like the second one. And then the last one is one of those multiplayer, I think it was couch co-op and online when it came out on the PS2 and the Xbox and GameCube and all that. But we're talking Star Wars Republic Commando. So it's like a squad-based first-person shooter where, like, you command troops to do what you want. And if you have extra people playing with you, either couch co-op or online, like you were working as a squad to complete your missions. And I never did play this one back in the day. I was watching Captain Algebra stream this one maybe a year ago or whatever, and it looked pretty fun. He was playing a single player, so you don't really need to. You can still command the people to do what you need them to do without having extra live players with you. It looked like kind of a hassle, though, but it does have a single player mode, so you don't need to be playing that online. I think I'm over it now. For some reason, like, my throat's not going crazy. This one I picked up because of Metal Jesus. He talked about it in, I don't know if it was I think it was a pickup video. It wasn't a Hidden Gems or anything like that. I think it was a pickup video he was doing with somebody. It might have been Reggie or whatever. And it sounded really interesting and different. So I had to get this from Japan. And that is Steel Rats. And the thing that piqued my interest about this is it's a platformer, but you're not on foot. You're on a motorcycle. So it's a motorcycle platformer, and it is actually super freaking fun. And I'm not kidding. Like, if you want to go up a building, you have to, like, do a wheelie and jump the bike to get up to the next level. And some of these levels are maze-like, and it is kind of tricky because there's puzzle elements you have to solve too to get around. It is really, really cool. The characters are really likable and fun. Why we didn't get a physical edition of this over here, I have no idea, but we did not. So like I said, I had to import it. But I didn't beat it, but I played a good chunk of it. I want to say I played it for 2 days, And I really liked it. And then something else came along, and I was like, oh, that. So I highly recommend it if you can get a copy of this to check it out. It's really unique and different, and it plays really well. The controls are really intuitive. It works. Next up, I picked this up because of Scott Squatch. He recently made a comeback on YouTube, and he's as popular as ever. It was like he was gone for a few years and made one video, and boom, he's making appearances at conventions and stuff again. It's like, what? He talked about this in one of his like weekend pickup videos where he goes garage sailing all around Florida, and he was talking about this, how he thought that this was going to become one of those games that became super rare in the future, and might want to pick it up now while it's super cheap, because in the future it's probably going to be hard to find. No, you can get it anywhere. It's called Stick It to the Man, and I don't know if this was made by anybody that I've heard of. Play It. Whatever. And essentially it's like that game that came out on the PS2 where you have that like sticky hand on a string that you have to, I can't remember what it's called. I have it for the PS2. But yeah, you have like one of those sticky hand things that you get at a vending machine. You have to like stick it to things and pull the enemies towards you, and then you beat them up. This one is the same kind of concept, but you have the thing coming out of your head. It's coming out of your brain. So it's kind of the same concept, but I have not played it very much. I played it just to see what it was, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, I'll come back to it, and I just never did. But yeah, it did not become one of these hot commodity games, but not like I really cared. I kind of wanted to get it before it became super expensive, so I didn't have to pay for it later if I wanted it. So this is another limited run game, and I don't know why I bought it, but and I don't know what kind of game it is because I have not played it, but it is called Story of a Gladiator. I'm assuming I watched a video of it, but I'm looking at the pictures on the back here, and it's not ringing a bell. So I don't know what could have made me say, yeah, that. Could have been also, I want to buy all the things from Limited Run. This is a pretty newer one. I want to say I got this within the last year or 2 years. But it looks kind of like a beat 'em up, but all the characters are super tiny. But yeah, I can't say what it is. It's still sealed, so I've not played it, but I'll get to it eventually. Next up is, I should have played this, but I've played through and beat the story mode of the one that came out after this. But this was one of those games where I kept on saying, like, I'll get to it, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. And then the next one came out, and I was like, well, because I'm playing that one now. That is Street Fighter V, the arcade edition. And I think there's another edition that came out after this one, which is something that I'm really starting to get sick of when it comes to games like this, especially when it comes to Capcom. Street Fighter's been doing it since Street Fighter 2. You got Street Fighter 2, and the Championship Edition, and then the Hyper Fighting Edition, and then Super Street Fighter 2, and then Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. They were doing it with every one of them. There was like Street Fighter 3, and then there was Second Impact, and then Third Wave, or whatever the hell it was called. And then they did it with 4, and they were doing it with 5. But the thing about 5 was, when the original version of 5 was coming out, I pre-ordered it because I pre-ordered like the big special edition one because it was going to come with a bust of Ryu doing like his little Hadouken stance. And I was like, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait to play this. And then I found out that it was online only, and I said, the hell with that. Canceled that pre-order. Luckily, I canceled it before it shipped. But I found out about it like 2 days before it was coming out. And I was like, nope, I'm not buying a game that is online only. If it does not have an offline mode, the hell with it. So I never bought it. And then I guess Capcom got wind of how pissed off people were and eventually fixed it in the next edition. And then this is like the one after that. So there was like Street Fighter V, and then there was like Street Fighter V Turbo, whatever, and then Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, which has the offline mode. And then there is one that I think they came out after this, and I might pick that one up eventually and get rid of this. But this was, I think, the last game I bought from Toys R Us before they went under. I bought like 3. I bought this, Metal Gear Solid 5, the Definitive Edition, and then Alekine's Gun, I think, at the same time. And everything was half off. So this was already like $50, and I got it for like $25. So I'm not super sad that I will probably be getting rid of this. I did not pay full price for it, so that's okay. But it's still sealed. I have not played it. But I did play through Part 6. I beat the whole story mode of that. So do I really need to play that now? Then there is the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, and this has all of the old Street Fighter games on it. And we're talking all of them. Street Fighter, the OG, the one that is almost unplayable. Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition, Super Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter Alpha, Alpha 2, Alpha 3, Street Fighter 3, the new generation, Street Fighter 2 Second Impact, Street Fighter 3 third whatever. I can't read it. It's so tiny. So every single one of them. So I picked this one up because I love me a good compilation, especially when it comes to a fighting series like this, which has an insane amount of games in it. And especially when it has all the different upgrade versions all in one place, so I don't have to do what I'm doing with that Part 5 bullshit. So, yeah, super excited to eventually get around to playing that. I love me some Street Fighter 2. When I wasn't playing Mortal Kombat in the arcade, I was playing Street Fighter 2. Who remembers how rough Streety 5 was at launch? No arcade mode, no story mode, a third of the roster. Ken's weird banana hair. Actually, I never played it at the start. I got rid of it. Third strike. Yeah, thank you. Had no lobby either. Lest we forget for the for the first month, it was sad. See, I'm glad that I got rid of it because I'm just lucky that I found those articles 2 days before it released stating that there was no offline mode. Otherwise, I would have gotten it, opened it, probably put the statue somewhere, then try to play it, and would have been like, oh no. And then I'm stuck with it. That would have pissed me off. So I'm glad that I saw it and canceled. So here is one of the few special editions that I ever bought from Limited Run. Limited Run releases a lot of these collector's editions and special edition versions of games where you get a lot of tchotchkes and stuff. But there was an edition past this one that I could have gotten, but I did not feel that I should. I just wanted this specific thing that came with it. The other one I bought was Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and I got the same edition of that when it came to this game. This is another one that started off being digital only, and I was like, nope, I'll wait because this franchise is so big that it will eventually come to physical. Thankfully, it did, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Grinding with M. Bison. And we are talking Streets of Rage 4. How long did it take for us to get this? And we're not talking Fighting Force because that was trash. Yeah, this is such a worthy successor to the series. I'm so glad we finally got a part 4, and from what I understand, we're getting a 5 now too. But yeah, this is a fantastic game. Beat 'em up, different modes, different characters, all the different versions of characters that you can unlock by playing the game. You can get Adam. I was playing specifically as Adam from the first game, and when I was playing through this, and you can unlock the pixel version of Adam, which is awesome. And absolutely great. Yuzo Koshiro came back to do some of the music for the game, not all of it. But it feels like Streets of Rage 4, but updated for current day beat 'em up style games. The same thing with Turtles, Shredder's Revenge. It feels like you are playing Turtles in Time or Hyperstone Heist or one of those types of games, but it's just been updated for the modern day in ways that we would approve. Same thing with this. It is so goddamn good. I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. There is a special edition version of this out there, a collector's version or complete version that has all the DLC that was released, which I did not think we were going to get, but we did. New characters to play as and costumes and modes and stuff. So eventually I'll probably get a copy of that as well. But it's fantastic. But yeah, like I said, I did buy the collector's edition. I think there was a limited edition that was better than this. But the one I got looks like a Genesis game. A little bit larger than your Genesis case, but opens up like a Genesis game, and there's lots of stuff inside. So we've got a soundtrack with 18 tracks of awesomeness on it. How many of these are Yuzo? 3, 4, 5. 5 tracks of these are Yuzo Koshiro radness. And it also comes with a steelbook, which is still in the wrapping. And that is an awesome looking steelbook. I love the character art. The artwork in the game is great. But since I'm not going to put the steelbook on the shelf, I just kept it inside. I'd rather just keep the original and not damage the steelbook because these things get dented. You break the plastic spine on it, you're SOL. There's no way to replace it. Not like a regular, Blu-ray case. You can get those on eBay for you can get 10 of them for $5. So I'm not going to damage that. You can stay in here forever, locked inside. So that's rad as hell. Oh, didn't put the soundtrack back in. Derp. So one of the few. Glad that I have that one. If there was going to be one that I bought, it was going to be that. Ken has always been your main until 6. Now I'm a Cammy sim. So I never played it. Still haven't played 6 online. I've only played the story mode, and I beat that. And the thing was, I don't know if you played the story mode, but you adopt the fighting styles of each of the characters in the game that you would normally play as into your character, and you can swap them out at will. And I played a lot as Ken. I maxed out Ryu. I almost maxed out Ken. I played a lot as Chun-Li. Chun-Li and her style ended up being pretty rad for the story mode. 2-player, which is good enough, but still 4-player local only. Steel cases are great until they start mysteriously rusting. Yeah, or like you drop it and you get a dent in it. I keep on buying Steelbook movies, knowing that eventually I'm going to like pick it up and drop it and bust it. And then what do I do now? I have a busted Steelbook. Yay. Here's another one I got from, I do believe I got this from Limited Run, but this wasn't, it isn't considered one of the numbered Limited Run releases. They released this for some other company. It's not considered like a numbered version, but it's Streets of Red. And if I understand, this is a twin stick shooter. Streets of Red, Devil's Due Deluxe is a permadeath multiplayer horror beat 'em up that bestows players with the skills of retro gaming herpes. Is that what that says? Herpes? In a fight against a legion of undead monstrosities. Okay. All right. Whatevs. I think I need to crack this open and play it tonight. Holy shit. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I have not opened it up to play yet, obviously. I'll definitely going to put that aside and play that tonight. Herpes? Retro herpes? What? There's another limited run. I opened this one, I think, only because the disc was loose when I got it. But when you take a look inside, it actually comes with a manual. And I remember somebody told me that this one was pretty rad, so I bought it. But once again, no artwork on the back. That's stupid. But Sundered Eldritch Edition, could not tell you what type of game it is. I have not put this on my console at all or in my console at all. But there's like no artwork on the back. That is so stupid and wasteful, don't you think? Could not tell you what kind of game it is. I'm assuming it has to do with wizards. Here's another one from Limited Run. Super Hedera, which is a shmup. And I want to pick up any shmups I possibly can for the console since I absolutely love them. They're a good fast playthrough if you're looking for some quick beats. But I have a good time playing these, but I have not popped this one in just yet. But it looks kind of old school the way the graphics and stuff look. It does not look like a modern day anything. But that's cool too. I'm all for it. Give me the shmups. Give me all the shmups. Here's another limited run. Have not played this one either. But this one I bought because of what it is. And it's what it does. Sorry. So if you look at the cover art, you'll kind of see what I mean. It's called Super Mash. And take a good look at that artwork. What do you see? There's something that looks like an God, I can't talk now. A Nintendo 64 cartridge, and characters and vehicles and whatnot are coming out of it. So it says Super Mash is a game that makes games. It says mash together iconic games to create never-before-seen gaming experiences. Win matches requested by customers to unlock the mysteries of the play-type machine and save the game shop from a nefarious threat. 6 classic game genres to mix and match. Customize your machines with the help of hundreds of dev cards, I think that says. Save and share your matches with your friends. So that just sounded pretty rad to me, even though I don't even think I looked up footage. I read the description of it on the Limited Run website, and I was like, oh, that sounds rad as hell. Give it to me. So I picked it up. So I have not played this one yet. This is another one I think that showed up with the disc loose, so I opened it up. But that just sounded awesome. And this one I picked up from overseas. I know I got this from like some boutique label, but I cannot see which one. I might have just bought it from some British place. I don't think this came out over here until way later after I bought it. But we're talking Super Meat Boy. So I had this on the Xbox 360. I bought it off of the shop. And I don't know how it's like a puzzle platformer, I guess. You play as like this little chunk of meat, and you can slip and slide up and down walls and bounce back and forth like the Ninja and Ninja Gaiden, or Batman in the original NES game, to try to get from one end of the stage to the other. It's like a screen, and you have to find your way around. So it's got the puzzle aspect of trying to figure out where you can jump off of without getting killed and get to the exits, go to the next screen and do it all over again with a different configuration. And like as you're doing it, since you're basically a chunk of meat, you're leaving like blood trails everywhere and stuff. And I played it quite a bit on the Xbox 360, and I really, really liked it, but it never came out physically, from what I understand, on that console. But when I saw that this was for sale overseas, you can tell this is a British UK version. I found it online and I picked it up because, I always liked it, but I just haven't gotten around to playing it again. So how's everybody doing tonight? Glad to see there's so many people here. Let's chit-chat. Let's talk. Talk to me. Tell me something. So I picked this one up because of Radical Reggie. I do believe I already had the first 2 games on the original Xbox. And then if TJ's here, TJ had the compilation with the other games on it that it goes for quite a pretty penny. And he traded it at Mo Game Con for a really expensive game that he ended up giving to Captain Algebra, which I thought was really cool of him. We're talking Siberia 3. So this is an adventure-style game. The third in a series says, enter the enchanting world of Benoit Sokal. Join Kate Walker in the unique world of Siberia. Dive into the story, puzzles, and mysteries of this fabulous adventure, conceived and drawn by Benoit Sokal, with music by Einon Zur, who did the music for Skyrim 5. So I know that much. A completely redesigned game system, enhanced with original and immersive puzzles. So it's like Myst, I guess, with a pretty decent story. So there's been 3 of them, so it must be doing something right. I need to play through this series. I know I bought this because Radical Reggie was talking how much he loves the franchise, and I was like, I do already have the first 2 on the Xbox. I'll pick that one up as well. Doing great. Love seeing PS4 collections and learning about new games I don't know about. I'm the guy for you. This is the console that I have the most amount of games for in my collections. I think I have... Well, if I only had a device that told me things I need to know. How many games in my PS5 or PS4 collection? PS4, I have 550 games. So I have quite a collection. Here's another one that I picked up from Play Asia. And it's another one that came in one of these limited editions, and this one is falling apart as well. For some reason, these Play Asia limited editions, like the glue on them gives up after like 7 years. Which is some bullshit. Luckily, I got that tape over here. I can fix these. And this one is called Tachyon Project. It's a limited edition. And this one, I do believe, is a twin-stick shooter, which is why I picked it up. And it's kind of like Stardust or Super Stardust, which I love a good twin-stick shooter. I always think they're fun. This one sounded pretty awesome. And the limited edition came in this bigger outer box, and you can see it's like coming apart right here. I can fix it. You can see the tape or the glue that they use. It has no glue left on it. It is just like dull. But just like all of these limited editions, they all come with the same kind of thing. So it's got a manual, which is kind of cool. How often do you see these nowadays? What's a manual, I hear you say? And a card to tell you the edition number of the one that I bought. This one is 1393 out of 2000. And it comes with a soundtrack, which has a whopping 9 tracks on it. Whoop-wee, woohoo! And these tracks are not long. 1:56, 2:19, 1:36. One's 3 minutes. One's 4 minutes and 48 seconds. That's the longest one. You could have, unless there's only 9 tracks of music in this soundtrack. Or in this game, in this soundtrack. God. Yeah, look, the whole thing is like coming apart. I can fix that, though, like I said. It's not a big deal. But anyway, I've not played this one yet. Like I said, I've got 550 games. So I can play all of them. I'll be playing these games when I'm fucking 80. But Tachyon Project. Yep, that's awesome. Currently at 408. Yeah. I think the reason I have that many games is the PS4 was the first console where there were so many different places to get games. Like normally when it came to the other consoles, it's like Best Buy, Target, Walmart, that kind of thing. Amazon wasn't really a thing during the PS2 days. But like now, like when it came to the PS4, it's the first one where I had so many different options available, like Play Asia, Limited Run, all these other online, like Strictly Limited, First Press or whatever the hell it was called, or was it Super Rare or whatever they're called. So many places, and they were just coming out so fast. There'd be like 10 new games a week. What's up, Peter? Kenna's number was 1393 out of 2000. Kenna forever in our hearts. Twin stick shooters that require a button to fire, or more like Geometry Wars where the right stick. I prefer that kind of one where the right stick is the one that fires. I think that control scheme works the best for me. Here's one that I put off buying forever, and we're getting a sequel to it now. I have it in my wish list on Amazon, but like I kept on saying like, oh, I want to try that, and then I wouldn't buy it, and then it was like years went by because I kept on seeing it, and I'd be like, no, I'll get this other thing, and then I found it at Half Price Books dirt cheap, and that is the Talos Principle Deluxe Edition. And I do believe this is just a bunch of environmental puzzles in the first person. Critically acclaimed first-person puzzle adventure game written by Tom Joubert and Jonas Kiratzis, whatever. And I love me a good environmental puzzle-style game. And this one, I can see, has some great reviews. I love the kitty cat on the front, too. What is this, Blofeld from the Bond movies? Pet my kitty. I just pet my boob. Whatever. But like I said, I kept on putting off buying it, and then I couldn't find it, and then just randomly came across it at Half Price Books when they actually had stuff at my local Half Price Books to buy. Here's one that I never played back in the day. I do believe this is a remake of, like, kind of like the way Crash Team Racing's got a remake. Team Sonic Racing. Yeah, I think this was a remake. And this one I bought because I remember I was watching, what's his name? Pete Dorr. I guess Pete Dorr is a huge fan of Sonic and was playing this on stream on Twitch one night. And I happened to log on and I saw it. And I was like, you know what? That looks pretty fun. So I picked up a copy of it not too long after that. And I played it for a couple of nights and I was really enjoying it. But I'm like, at the same time, going through my mind is, it's good. It's fun. It's still not Mario Kart 8, though. Mario Kart 8 is like the pinnacle for me. So it's good, but I'd rather play Mario Kart. This one is a port from the Vita. I'm surprised we have not gotten more games in this franchise. I thought they could have kept on going with this, the way that they kind of did with Gravity Rush. Gravity Rush got a port to the PlayStation 4, upgraded graphically also, and then it got its own sequel. I think they could have done the same with this, but apparently it didn't sell too well. We're talking Tearaway Unfolded Crafted Edition, and it's a puzzle platformer as well. It says unfold an incredible adventure, uncover the true power of your DualShock, to join forces with Atoy, the messenger, in a daring quest to deliver a top-secret message, unfold her magical papery world, save her pals in peril, and battle the monsters trying to stop her delivery. And the crafted edition includes, 8 different things that I can't read because the font is really funny and it's really written really, really small. But yeah, it is a platformer, but I think it's a puzzle platformer if I remember correctly, because I have played the Vita version, but that was a long time ago. And I never beat it. I didn't play it for very long. But I liked it enough to want to buy this. So I'm surprised we didn't, that wasn't a franchise that kept on going. What is it with you tonight, Peter? You're in a weird mood. Anyway, here's one that I had to buy because not only does this share its name with an ebook that I picked up when my dad died. My mother gave me a whole bunch of like the techie stuff that my dad had bought that she'll never use, and one of them was a Fire Pad for Amazon Fire or whatever it's called, Kindle. It was like a Kindle Color Fire or whatever it was. And I was like, I could put some books on it and read it. And there was like a bunch of free ebooks you could get off of Amazon's website. And one of them was this book called Technomancer. And I liked it so much. I was like, if I ever got the chance to make a live action movie, like a full length movie, I'd adapt this book. So when I saw the title, I was like, I need that. Never bought it until way later. And I got it, I think, off of my buddy Justin. That is Technomancer, or The Technomancer. And this is an RPG, sci-fi RPG. And that alone should make me want to crack this open and play it, but I have not actually played it yet. It says, only you can forge the destiny of Mars. So, Eventually, I will play through this. Maybe I'll start playing it next week. I don't know. You are in a weird mood. I was going to say, you're usually not that aggressive. This one disappointed the hell out of me. Like truly, seriously. I've talked about this series a bunch on this channel. I've talked about it in like, what is it, like my Diamonds in the Rough series that I did back when I was making edited content all the time. I own this for multiple consoles, including the OG. You might be able to see it over my shoulder here. But this new one came out, and it came out of nowhere, and I saw it pop up as like, people who have bought this thing you're buying right now have also pre-ordered this, or things that we've pre-ordered, people have also pre-ordered this with it. And when it popped up, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Bought it. Luckily, it was only a $20 game when it came out brand new. It was a cheap game off the bat. And I booted it up the moment it showed up in the mail from Amazon, and I was beyond disappointed. And that is Tempest 4000. Tempest 2000 on the Jaguar was one of the best games on that console. Still is. It's a tie between, for me, it's a tie between Tempest 2000 and Alien vs. Predator. And when I got rid of my Jaguar, I missed playing Tempest 2000. It's like a really awesome update of the old arcade game with like all these trippy graphics and new power-ups. There's power-ups now. Like you can shoot more. You have a little bot that follows you around and gives you an extra shot. You can clear entire waves of enemies with like this like shockwave thing and stuff. You can jump around the web now. It was super great. And plus, the music. I have to talk about the awesome freaking music. It was like this really cool 90s techno that kept you wanting to play. And it was really, really well done to the point where they released a soundtrack. Like Atari released a soundtrack on CD, which I owned. And then eventually they came out with Tempest X Cubed on the PlayStation 1, which essentially just was Tempest 2000 with a couple of graphical upgrades, and it was tweaked for the controller for the PlayStation 1. That did me right there. I was like, okay, I'm good. Tempest 3000 ended up coming out on the new one, which nobody bought. And I remember I'd heard about the new one through some magazine I read. And I remember a friend and I went to the local Best Buy to see what was going on with movies and games and whatever. And they had a demo of the new one sitting there. And one of the games that they had sitting up in front of it was Tempest 3000. I was like, if there is anything, basically, if you've never played a new one before, it was like a game console built into, what was it, Samsung? It was either Samsung or Pioneer DVD players. So you're buying a standard DVD player, but it had a port on the side for controllers. And then you would buy these Nuon games that were on disc, and they played in the console, or they played in the DVD player along with regular DVDs. And one of the games that they released at launch was Tempest 3000. Turns out that was the only game that was worth playing on the damn thing. I think they only released like 7 or 8 games for it anyway before it went under. And I never actually played it until the Midwest Gaming Classic. I think it was like the second one that I went to. So this is probably 2017, I want to say. 2016, I think. And I even told my friends, if you see a new one that you can play laying around in one of the little demo areas, let me know. And sure enough, there was one, and Tempest 3000 was the game on it. And I was like, yep, if I ever had a new one, this would be the only game I'd have for it, because this is awesome. And then Tempest 4000 comes out, and all it is the exact same game that was on the Jaguar or Tempest X Cubed on the PlayStation, but exact same music from the Jaguar game, which is stupid. Exact same music. Even has the compression from the Jaguar. And all the weird effects that were going on that were kind of trippy, they like doubled it, so it makes it so you can't even see what the hell you're doing. So I'm playing it going like, what the hell is this? I'd rather just play the PlayStation 1 game. It was the fact that they cleaned everything up in HD made it worse, like for some reason. Like all of the new effects and stuff that they added on top of it just made it even harder to play. And I was like, no, I can't do this. It's giving me a freaking migraine. It's pissing me off that they couldn't even be bothered to compose some new music for it, which is probably why the game cost $20 when it came out. I was super pissed. Super, super pissed. But I kept it because it's still Tempest. So, yeah. It's like the reverse of the PS2, a DVD player that plays games instead of a game console that plays DVDs. Yeah. But it was designed to be used in DVD players, and I don't know anybody that actually owned one. I never knew anyone that was interested in buying one. If anybody that I knew bought a Nuon. It was because they thought they were just buying a DVD player, just happened to have this Nuon thing built into it that they never used. But the first time I ever saw one in use, was at the Midwest Gaming Classic when I saw Tempest 3000. And I was just like, yep, this would be the only damn game I'd own for this damn thing. But I remember, like I said, I saw them at Best Buy, and they had that demo playing, but it was like some weird, Microcosm, Nova Storm style game where it was like you're watching a movie and there's video game things being put over that you have to shoot at with a reticle. It was kind of like, yeah, I remember when these were coming out on the Sega CD? This is how far we've come, guys. Anyway, next up is another limited run game called Tharsis. This was when I was buying every freaking limited run game that was coming out. Limited edition. I don't know what's limited about it. And I could not tell you what kind of game it is because, once again, they have no game footage on the back. Just pictures of people in shadow with a torch. I'm assuming it's an RPG of some type. Couldn't tell you, though. What does that say? Tharsis. Do not expect survivors. Okay, whatever. This one of the first games I bought for the console, and I still have not unwrapped it. Captain Algebra would be so mad at me. We're talking Thief. So this was a reboot of the franchise that had been going on since, I do believe, the PlayStation 2. And I own a couple of the games in the series for other consoles. And it started on the PC. It was like, was it Eidos, I think, released these? Whatever. They were third-person stealth action games. And one of them is like Thief Deadly Shadow. I think I have Thief Deadly Shadow somewhere in my collection. I don't remember exactly where. But I was really excited about a reboot for this console, and I got it dirt cheap because I got my PlayStation 4 a year and a half after it had been out already. But I just never ended up playing it, which is kind of disappointing. I'm like, man, you kind of screwed yourself on that one. It looks cool. I don't recall it getting great reviews, though. CDI, yeah. Yeah. Like I said, they only released 7 games for the damn thing before it went under. Here's another one that I have not played, and I think I had to open this one up because the disc was loose, and it's the only reason it's unwrapped. But it is the deluxe edition. It says includes postcards and digital comic book of Those Who Remain, which I do believe is a horror game. And why do you write these descriptions in such tiny font, people? God damn. There are people that have bad eyesight like me. As the lights go out, the embers of darkness are... What? Stoked, I do believe, in the sleepy town of Dormont. That is stupid. Confront unconfrontable horrors? Who writes this? Keep your sanity in check and survive the night in this story-driven first-person psychological thriller. That actually sounds pretty awesome. That's probably why I bought it, first person. But I have not played it yet. Like I said, when you have 550 games in your collection, can't be expected to play all of them. And I had an Xbox 3 or Xbox One at the same time, and I had a Wii U and then a Switch. So yeah, here's another limited run that I bought because why not? That is Time Spinner, and it says travel back in time to change fate itself. I do believe it is a platformer, kind of like Castlevania, or Metroidvania style game. With their family murdered in front of her and the ancient time spinner device destroyed, Lunius is suddenly transported into an unknown world, stranded with seemingly no hope of return. Using her power to control time, Lunius vows to take her revenge on the evil L'chaim. Wow, they really went there, didn't they? Empire. It's spelled the same way, too. But sometimes the course of history isn't quite as black and white as it seems. It says, stop time to evade foes, use them as platforms and solve puzzles, clobber enemies with magic orbs which grow stronger with each use, befriend mysterious familiars, and trade them to aid you in battle, or train them to aid you in battle. Fight for your life during challenging boss battles. Actually sounds pretty awesome. I should probably play it. We'll see if that actually happens. It's a blurb for ants. Yeah, I know, right? That's why the font is so small. They don't want you to read the badly written plot. Yeah, who wrote that shit? Do not hire the guy who wrote the back, or what's described on the back of Those Who Remain. Because that is I don't know if any of you have, I'm going to talk movies real quick. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the movie John Carpenter's Vampires that came out it was either the late 90s or early 2000s. There is a line of dialogue where it's about a bunch of vampire hunters, and this priest who's with the vampire hunters says to the crew at some point, like the bad vampire is going to find this relic that's going to make him able to walk in sunlight, and then he goes, he will be unstoppable unless we stop him. And I remember when I heard that line in the theater, half the audience went, ugh. It's like there's so many words you could have substituted, like he will be unstoppable unless we do, or something like that, or we kill him. You could have said anything except using stop twice. Anyway, rant over. Not even a rant, just me being a butthead. Here's another game that I picked up and have not played. I remember I got this dirt freaking cheap. I think I got this for a whopping $5 off of Amazon. It was like deep discounted or something. I don't remember if it was like a glitch, but it was long after it came out, so maybe it was just discounted to $5 at that point just to get rid of them. But I do believe this is a dungeon crawler RPG, kind of like Diablo. And that is Titan Quest. But it's like a Roman-themed one, which is probably why I was like, ooh, should probably pick that up for $5. Why the hell not? Haven't played it yet. And I'm playing Diablo 4 right now, so I'm in a dungeon crawl mood, so why not? Better money. Oh, wait. That's a good one, Stubby. This is the first game I ever bought from Strictly Limited, because this is the first game Strictly Limited ever released. So I actually have their #1 game, and it's still sealed. So maybe I should sell it if it's #1 and see how much it's going for. I don't know. But it's called Tokyo 42. And you can see right there it has Strictly Limited #1, 01. That's their first ever release. And I bought this because of the way it's described on the back. So it's in an isometric view. And it says Tokyo 42 is a hyper-stylish, isometric open-world shooter. Framed for a murder you didn't commit, you'll delve into a world of assassins, deadly corporate intrigue, and tactical cats. Explosive assassin action, ultra-detailed open world. Also, the reason I wanted to pick this up is because I read somewhere that this is very cyberpunk. So, me and cyberpunk, we got a thing going on. So, I had to get that. Still haven't played it, though. So, I guess it wasn't cyberpunk enough for me to open it. We shall see. Where did I got this recently. Did I get this when I was out with Captain Algebra and all them? I think I did. I think I bought this when I was out with Captain Algebra and all them in Wisconsin last year. And it's Tokyo Xanadu. So like I've said, I've been saying this since like the PlayStation 2 era streams, that if I see something that's been released from Axis, NIS America, or Atlas, if I find it pretty cheap out in the world, in the wild, I'll buy it even if I know nothing about it, just because it will probably become harder to find down the line if I ever want to play it. So if you see it cheap, buy it so you have it, and when you do want to play it, you don't have to pay $500 for it. Anyway, I know nothing about this. It just says prepare to battle the hordes of the Eclipse in blistering action RPG combat. Additional PS4 system content says extra side stories and an epilogue, new playable characters, including White Shroud. I don't know what that means. Time attack and boss rush modes, new dungeons, quests, and collectibles. So when I do get around to playing it, that sounds like it might be pretty cool. And this is by Falcom also, the people that do the Ease games and the what's it called? The Trails of Cold Steel series. So that should be pretty cool. And we've got the OG Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. So this originally came out during the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 era. I had it on the 360. I played about half of the game. And then for some reason, I just stopped playing. I don't remember if I got stuck or anything like that. I think I just lost interest for some reason. Or something else took my interest, and I was just kind of like, oh, yeah, I'll come back to Tomb Raider, and I just never did. So when I first got my PlayStation 4, first day, I bought this. And I played through it beginning to end. Absolutely fantastic reboot of the franchise. The graphics are fantastic. It's very Uncharted. Like everyone says that Uncharted was like an upgraded version of the old Tomb Raider games. Well, this took a page in the reverse. So this is actually like Uncharted. They copied Uncharted in a lot of ways by making it very cinematic now. And it is super awesome. I absolutely loved it to the point where I immediately wanted to play the sequel, and I did. And then by the time I beat that one, I ended up beating the third. The third one had been out, and I bought the third one. Absolutely fantastic game. Absolutely loved it. The new design of Lara is also, she's a lot more realistic looking for someone who's in shape. Instead of just being like, I got big old chesticles that should possibly be getting in the way of every single thing I do in this game. But great game. Absolutely loved it. Tomb Raider reboot. Yeah, and just because I just beat Castlevania 4, and yeah, I do have some bad blisters on my thumbs from playing those, or playing that on the PlayStation 4. And then Peter, this one's for you. 2 games fully remastered, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. And this one is opened, which I got brand new during Black Friday like a year ago or 2 years ago, I don't remember. I have actually played this. I played it earlier this year. I think it was after Mo Game Con I cracked it open, because playing Peter in part 2 or 4 or whatever it was we were playing on the Xbox at Mo Game Con kind of got me in the mood to try it again. And that's when I realized I've been playing these games wrong my entire life. OMG. Like, Peter, remember how I was like sitting there going like, why are you whooping my ass this bad? On top of the fact that you've probably been playing this game for 20 years. But the reason is I realized I've been playing this game wrong ever since the original one came out. And I noticed it every single time I would go through a stage, and I'd be like, I need to rack up. Like, you know, there's the goals you have to complete to move on to the next stage, to unlock the next stage. Well, one of them is always hit a score cap. And I'm sitting there going like, why am I not landing any of these goddamn tricks? I'm doing all these tricks in a row. Why can I never land them? It's because every single time I go up a ramp, I immediately would hit left or right on the pad. So my character is spinning, and I'm doing all these tricks. But whatever the thing, since I'm always spinning, I never am able to land right. I had to like retrain my brain to not hit the left or right thumb pad or hold the thumb pad down while I'm doing the tricks. Just hit the button and do it, and hit an X, square, circle, triangle button, and then do the other direction and hit that, and just do that, and you'll probably land the trick. Stop spinning constantly. And I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this since day one. Super awesome remake from, like, I think it was remade from scratch, and it's still a fun-ass game. I absolutely love it. Why they screwed up Part 5 so bad, I will never know when this exists. Show you how to do it right. I want to play again to see how much you've improved. I'm improved, but I still suck. I mean, at least I'm, like, landing tricks now. So this one I picked up at GameStop, and I do believe this was a game that was kickstarted. Because this is a spirit, like, I hate that term, spiritual successor. It's inspired by, that's all you have to say. This was inspired by, was it RuneScape Torment? I think that's what it's called. It was an RPG that was available on the computer, the PC. I think it's RuneScape Torment or something like that. And this is like inspired by that. I don't know if it's an actual sequel, and it still has one of those names in the title, or one of those words in the title. Great remake, yeah. So I didn't kickstart it, but I found it at best it was used at GameStop, and it came with the Steelbook too, which is why I wanted to buy it. And then the thing was, I brought it home, and I was really excited because I've heard so many things about Torment over the years, especially from Metal Jesus. I think he says it's one of his favorite PC games. Then I was like, I need to stream this. And I remember this was kind of when I did have a following on Twitch. Whenever I would start streaming, people would show up. And I remember I had like maybe 10 people watching at the start. And then as I went on, that number just started to decline rapidly. And I'm sitting there going like, why is everybody leaving the stream? And I'm like, oh, this must be super boring to watch somebody else play. I mean, I was enjoying it. But yeah, it's boring as hell if you're not playing it. And that is Torment Tides of Numenera, Day 1 edition. So I'm assuming this is what you got for kickstarting the game. You have 2 discs. One of them is a soundtrack. And it comes with a couple of codes for extra content, a map, which I'm not going to open up because I'll spend so much time putting it back, and the Steelbook, which looks pretty rad. But yeah, this is an isometric, like action RPG, but it's less action and it's more like just standing around talking to people a lot of the time. At least the stuff that I was doing when I was streaming was it was just a lot of dialogue all the time. And you'd be talking to people and you think the conversation would be over and then it would just keep on going. And I'd be like, and even in the stream, I remember going like, oh my God, can I play this game now? And it was just constantly walk up to the next person, 20 minutes of dialogue, walk up to the next person, 20 minutes of dialogue. It's like one of the reasons why I kind of don't want to play the later Metal Gear Solid games because I know that's exactly what that game is going to be like. But the game was beautiful. It looked really awesome. When I did do things in it, it was really fun. But because of that stream going so horribly, horribly bad, I never went back and played it again. But I do, now that I have Torment, like, what is it? Planescape Torment, not RuneScape, Planescape Torment. Now that I own a copy of Planescape Torment, like the Enhanced Edition that's on the Switch, I want to play that first, and then I'll go back and play this, so I'll know what I'm get myself into. Now I'm the master. It's only a master of evil. Hermione is an evil laugh. Can't remember where I got this one at. Probably half-price books. But Tukiden Kiwami, which is a remake of the Vita game, I do believe. I do have Tukiden on my Vita. I could tell you right now. It's right in front of me. Yep, Tukiden, Age of Demons. Kiwami usually means remake. They did this with the Yakuza games also. So I do believe this is kind of like the same thing with Tearaway, where it's a remake of the Vita version of Tukiden on the home console. And it's basically a Dynasty Warriors game with demons. It's just a massive army beat-em-up style game, which ain't nothing wrong with that. I love me a good Musou game, if that's how you pronounce it. I always forget how to pronounce it. Musou. This one I picked up at GameStop, and I got hosed by the owner of, or the manager of that store. I called her out on it too. And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. So I remember I went there on the one that used to be by my mother's house. I was visiting my mother for Thanksgiving, and then the next day we went Black Friday. We went grocery shopping, then we went Black Friday shopping a little bit. And since we're at the Walmart, right across the street from the Walmart by her, it's a GameStop. And I was like, hey, if I'm going to sit here and deal with this bullshit crowd at this Walmart, we're going to the GameStop across the street. And it was freaking packed. But they had like this, I can't remember what kind of a sale it was. Like, was it buy two, get one free kind of thing on the used stuff? And then I also had a coupon on my account for like 15 or 20 bucks off something. And the thing was, I had like a stack of games. I brought this one up, and this would have been my free game because I think this was 20 bucks. And I didn't notice it at the time, but she never took the 20 bucks off. But my coupon got used on my account, but she never took the 20 bucks off because I remember, like, I paid, I got to the car, and I looked at the receipt, and I was kind of like, where's the 20 bucks missing from, like, it should have like a minus 20 for coupon, and it's not on the receipt. So I went back inside, and like I cut the line to go up and talk to her. I'm like, you never took the 20 bucks off of my sale or the transaction for that coupon that I had on my account. She goes, what coupon? I'm like, the one that's on my account that I brought up when I was talking to you and now is missing because I checked on the app and it said it had been like redeemed, but for some reason she never applied it. I don't know what the hell she did. But I'm like, you owe me 20 bucks. She's like, get the hell out of my store. I'm busy kind of thing. I was like, bitch. I walked out and I was like, I'm never coming back here again. We're talking Toy Soldiers War Chest. This is the Hall of Fame edition. And this is like an army. I can't know how to describe it. It's like I don't think it's like a tactical game, but it's like, I played this for like 20 minutes. And I cannot remember for the life of me what the gameplay is like. I think it's like a beat 'em up. I cannot remember. But the thing is, all these there was a bunch of characters that were in this originally that were not licensed. Eventually, they got licensed for certain characters. So they put in some G.I. Joe characters. You got Cobra Commander and Duke. You got He-Man. You got people from Assassin's Creed. And I think there was even more that came out like as DLC. But I cannot remember for what the life of me what kind of game this is. I played it for like 10 minutes when I first got it, but that's about it. You can see He-Man riding Battle Cat right there. That's pretty awesome. I cannot for the life of me remember what kind of game this is. I think it's just like a crowd, like a beat 'em up, like a 3D beat 'em up. Yeah, I don't remember. And next up we have, well, this was by Outright Games, but it is licensed by Hasbro, and that is Transformers Battlegrounds. Jason from Corpseful Gaming, I think, told me about this one. and he played through it, but it took him like 2 or 3 nights, and he said it got kind of annoying. And this is a tactical game. It says lead the Autobots in the ultimate battle. Bumblebee and the Autobots have a new commander. You assemble your squad and roll up for battle against the Decepticons. Team up in local multiplayer. And that's all it really says. I have not opened this one, but I think it is a tactical, like kind of like a Final Fantasy Tactics style game, where you make your team and then you have to go and fight. So Jason said it was fun, but it got frustrating toward the end. The one that I have played is Transformers Devastation. This one is by Platinum Games. Holy shit. If you are a G1 fan, this is the game for you. If you like those Fall of Cybertron games that came out like on the PS3 and the Xbox 360, this is that to the nth degree. This is a 3D beat 'em up. Everything is cel shaded, so it looks like the old cartoon, just with a little bit of a extra class. You know, it's been gussied up a little bit. And there's transformations. You can pick all the different characters you want. You can upgrade them with new weapons and stuff as you go, because you're kind of finding loot as you go along and beat other people up. And you can like put new weapons on your character, new armors. And you end up fighting so many characters from the cartoon that it's kind of nuts. Like one of the first bosses you fight is freaking Devastator. It is so goddamn good. I absolutely love this game. This was one of the first games I bought when I got my PS4, and I was playing this all the freaking time. I was either playing this or Tomb Raider or Alien Isolation. Absolutely love this. So freaking cool. And I pre-ordered this. It was one of those games that, like, I did the same thing with Alien Isolation. I pre-ordered it before I even had the damn PS4, because if you pre-ordered it at GameStop, you got like all of the DLC stuff in advance, and which was all the original Alien movie characters, because there was like a scenario they had to do, or you play on the Nostromo, and like they brought back Sigourney Weaver and all the surviving cast members to voice their characters again, which I thought was great. Same thing with this. I still have my receipt in here from GameStop with my pre-order code on it, which I redeemed. And I don't remember exactly what this got me. Does it even say on here? Pre-order pickup. Excuse me. Thank you for purchasing Transformers Devastation. Your code to unlock your bonus DLC is below. Code expires 12/31/2015. I do believe I did it when I first got home. I have to probably play this on my PS4 in order to use it. I don't remember exactly what it was, though. It was probably just extra characters or something, but absolutely fantastic 3D beat 'em up. Love it. Like I said, if you're a G1 fan, this is the game for you. And then, like I was just talking about, those Cybertron games that came out on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, well, this is the final game in that series. This came out on the next gen as well as the previous. And I got this Walmart edition, exclusive Walmart edition of Transformers Rise of the Dark Spark, but I have not opened it yet because I had not played through all of those Cybertron games beforehand, and I wanted to play through those before I played this. But this Walmart version gives me an unlock to play Stinger. You can see it right there. And I probably won't be able to download the character now because I'm pretty sure the code is expired. We shall see. But it probably plays, I think it plays exactly like those Cybertron Transformers games. So we shall see. I'll eventually play through those. Here's another limited run game that I have not played. It is still sealed. This one looks like a isometric platformer also by Supergiant Games, which is a pretty decent developer if I remember correctly, and that is Transistor. This one actually has artwork on the back, or screenshots on the back, and it looks pretty cool. I don't know what I'm seeing, though, but at least it looks rad. I'm surprised that this new camera does not, like I said, it's still doing 720. I have to pay an extra $25 a month in order to upgrade to 1080p, and this is a 1080p camera. And I'm being hampered by not paying extra money. I already paid $25 a month just to use this without the little watermark on the screen. And the clarity is not the greatest in 720. But whatever. Here is... okay, so when I first got my PS4, I was trying to get a collection going right off the bat. You know, I was trying to get games wherever I could, as cheap as I could. And I had played the demo to this, and I really liked it. I was like, I've never played any. There's a bunch of games in this franchise that came before this one, and I never played any of them because I thought that they were just kind of like racing games. I didn't know what they were. And then I downloaded the demo because I was trying to see what new games were out there that I would want to buy. I played the demo for this, and I was like, that's actually really, really fun. I want to get a copy of it. Well, there was no copies going for sale or going for cheap on like Amazon or eBay or anything like that. So I had this app on my phone called Offer Up. I don't know if it's still available or not. I've only used it the one time. And I just happened to do a search on it when I was looking for this game, and I was like, is this game available? I type in the search in my area, and sure enough, there's somebody selling it, and it's dirt freaking cheap. I want to say it was like $15. So I contacted the person. I was like, hey, I'm interested in buying this game. Like, can I buy it from you? And they were like, yeah, meet me. Like, I told them where, like, the general area I was in. I didn't want to give them like my address, but I was like, here's the general area that I'm in. And they were like, I'm in that area as well, you know, just on the other side. We'll meet somewhere in between. Turned out to be a Dunkin' Donuts. So I walk into the Dunkin' Donuts to buy the game, and it's like this mom who's probably 20 years older than me. And I walk up, and she sees me walk in, and I start scanning the room, and she goes, Chris? And I go, yeah. And she goes, it's me. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I walk over to the table, and she was nursing a coffee, and she kind of, it was like she expected me to sit down and talk. And I'm standing there, and she goes, hey, I got the game for you. And she like holds it up, and she's like, yeah, it's my son's, but it isn't playing anymore. So I just wanted to get rid of it and, you know, make a little money back from it and all that. And I was just like, okay, here's the money. Thanks, bye. And I grabbed the game and I walked out. And she kind of had this look on her face like, hey. Like, I wanted to sit down and have a conversation. I'm like, I'm not interested in having a little hookup, lady. Because that's kind of the look she was giving me. I was just like, no. I'm not busting up a family. All for Trials Fusion. No. I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and talk to you for 2 hours. I want to go home and play the game. So it's a physics-based motorcycle game. It's not really about the racing. It's about like shifting the weight of your character on the motorcycle so you can make these crazy jumps and stuff like that. Like there might be a time where you need to like go on a wheelie on the back wheel and like drive up a ramp or whatever, and you have to like move your character in a specific way to get it to happen so you stay in the wheelie position. It's really, really cool the way it works. And I had a lot of fun playing it. It's like a puzzle racing game, which I thought was great. And then I went back and found some of the older games in the franchise and played some of those too, and those are really good. And it's something that I was not aware of at all until this came out. Wasn't going to bust up a family, though, over it. This one I picked up because I love me a compilation, and I was interested in playing one of the games in the franchise, and then I get all 4 of them in one. Yes, please. I hope this one doesn't, like, does this have codes? Yeah, it does. Maybe I should download these before they expire. These these expire in 2025. Do it! Do it now! Come on! Or is that for the soundtrack? Oh, it's my art of this digital art book. Okay, so it's not anything relating DLC. Okay, so what it is this Treen Ultimate Collection. And I believe these are dungeon crawlers, which I love. I'm not getting 1, 2, but 4 freaking games in the franchise all in one disc. So that is pretty freaking awesome. Yeah, Treen 1, Treen 2, Treen 3, and the newest one that had come out was Treen 4. So that was a good deal. I absolutely was not going to pass that up. And it was not super expensive. This was dirt cheap. Includes 4 amazing puzzle platforming adventures, along with the Art of Treen 4 digital art book, complete Treen series soundtrack, Treen 4 world map, and reversible box art. Shower. Last one play was Trials HD on the 360, thus beginning my long-standing obsession. Yep, I ended up getting a compilation on the 360 that had that in it. I think it was that, Explosion Man, and Res HD, I think, all on the same disc. This is... I don't know if I talked about this in last month. I don't think it was from last month. I think this is... I'm spoiling something right now for my pickup video for the end of the month. I don't think I talked about this. Hang on a second. Let me double check something. Am I spoiling something? Am I? I think I talked about this last month. Let me take a look. Yeah, Pooks. Come on. Show me my profile, please. This is not from this month. When did I get this? Is it here? No. When did I get this? Oh, this is from October. Okay, so I'm not spoiling anything. All right, never mind. I could have sworn I got this month. I think I'm thinking of something else that's in my collection right now. Anyway, we're talking Tunic. And this has a PS5 upgrade, which I will definitely be using. So I think it was Captain Algebra talked about this in one of his pickup videos, and I was like, okay, that actually sounds pretty awesome. Was it him? Or was it the Q Dogs? Maybe it was the Q Dogs. Whatever. Somebody that I watch on YouTube talked about this and made me go, ooh. So this is an isometric platformer, like an adventure game like Legend of Zelda. Oh, no. It was Johnny Millennium. Happy Console Gamer talked about this in one of his videos. It's like playing an isometric version of Legend of Zelda. But the thing is, when you go in between the stages, it's like Super Mario Brothers 3 map style. So you can see right here, it looks like the Super Mario Brothers 3 map. But when you actually play the game, it's an isometric Legend of Zelda adventure game with this cute little fox character. And the whole thing is has that metallic sheen to it. It's reflective and looks really rad. And I'll definitely be playing this. And I had to get this from Fangamer. The physical edition came through them. I guess this was a digital-only game. I think Eugene also, E.C. Myers Games, talked about this too, or he was streaming it too. Maybe that's where I heard of it. I remember 2 people talking about it. So I think it was not Captain Algebra. There was Johnny Millennium and E.C. Myers, or Eugene, were talking about it. Tommy Tallarico Insider Info. What's up? Is he trying to sell the television Amico again? Here is a strictly limited compilation, actually 2 of them, which took freaking forever to get to me. Jason of Corpse Flood Gaming and I pre-ordered this, and we waited well over a year for these. I don't know if it was licensing problems they were having, but constant delays. I don't know why, but it took so goddamn long to the point where I was like, I think they were available for sale on Amazon already by the time we got our editions. But ours came with some extra stuff, which isn't worth the wait. I even said to Jason, this was not worth the wait. They gave us this stuff as we're kind of sorry that it took so long, but it looked like it was half-assed. We got a bunch of postcards and posters with artwork on it that looked like a 10-year-old drew it with crayons. It was really, really bad. But anyway, these are the Turrican anthology collections. There's 2 of them. So the first volume has the original Turrican, Turrican 2, Super Turrican something. I can't read what the subtitle is on it. And Mega Turrican. So it has the original Turrican and Turrican 2, which are Amiga games. Super Turrican and whatever the other Super Turrican game on here is were Super Nintendo. And Mega Turrican is the Genesis game. So these are run and guns, kind of like Contra, but with a couple of extra bells and whistles. Like you have a laser beam that will continuously fire, and you can control its trajectory. You can make it move around the screen. If you hit down a couple of times, your character will roll up. Your armor will turn you into a ball like Samus, but you have spikes, and you can cause damage and bounce around the screen and stuff like that. It's super amazing, especially the Super Turrican, the one that came out on the Super Nintendo, has some of the best music I've ever heard on a Super Nintendo cartridge. It's so goddamn good. Doesn't have any artwork on the back or screenshots, but just tells you what games are available in this one, which is awesome. And then we have the second volume, which has Turrican 3, which is well, this one has Mega Turrican on it as well, but it has a subtitle underneath it, so maybe it's some other version of it. I don't know. But this one says it has Turrican 3, Mega Turrican, which is the Genesis one, another version of Mega Turrican, then Super Turrican 2, and then Super Turrican Annihilation, I think that says. So the Amiga version of Turrican 3, then the Genesis version of Mega Turrican, another version of Mega Turrican, the actual sequel to the Super Nintendo one, and then another Super Turrican something or other. I don't remember what they are, but I cannot read the subtitles on it. But if you ever play Turrican, you know that they are kind of amazing. And the last game I'm going to talk about tonight showed up, effed up beyond belief in the mail, but Limited Run will not do replacements. on things like this. They're just kind of like, just get a replacement box. Ain't no big deal. But this is one of the games I got from Limited Run. And I remember I ordered this while I was at the Midwest Gaming Classic. I remember I was standing outside the doors to go in Friday. We're going to get I was going to get my badge on Friday night before the con. And I was standing there waiting for Jason of Corpse Flood Gaming, his wife, and Church the Game Grinder, and his buddy Justin, Cardboard Zero, to show up so we can all go out and get dinner. And while I was standing there waiting, I happened to glance at my phone. I was like, I wonder what the games that came out through Limited Run were, went on sale today were. And I look and I saw this and I was just going, oh yeah, buy. I should have been spending money at the convention, but no, I spent it on Limited Run games and I still haven't played it. It's called Typo Man Revised. Typo Man Revised. And it's a platformer that reminds me a lot of Limbo. If you've ever played Limbo, where everything is kind of in shadow, but it looks like that. And I remember looking at the pictures online, and I was like, well, that looks like it's something up my alley. But when it showed up, the box was like cracked open, and the piece was moving around inside the case and all that. And I was afraid it was going to scratch something up or screw something up. You can kind of see on the manual that's inside that there's like marks where it was like rubbing up against it and all that, but ain't no biggie. But it comes with a manual, which is pretty rad. Tells you how to play the game and enemy types and all that. And it even has reversible artwork, but the artwork is not that great. So, yeah. Typo Man Revised. So that's it for tonight. The final episode will be next week. But let me look at the calendar real quick because I'm going to have to make some weird choices if what's going on, I think is going on next week. Come on, bring it up. There you go. Okay, so yeah, next Thursday will be fine for the final episode 7 in this series where I can finish up my PlayStation 4 collection. And then New Year's Eve is Sunday. So I will do the stream on Saturday the 30th instead. Yeah, the 30th. Saturday the 30th for the end of the month pickup stream. And I'm warning you all right now, it is going to be very movie heavy. I have not bought a whole lot of games this month. I might get some more. I might be going game hunting a little bit tomorrow. It really depends on, I have to get some repairs done to my car. It really depends on what time I get out of the repair shop, if I actually have time to do so. But there's not going to be a lot of games to talk about. It's going to be all movies, and I've got some doozies to talk about. So I will see you all next Thursday for the final episode of the PlayStation 4 streams. I will have a new short out tomorrow as well. And if you have not checked out my new channel, where the podcast that I do, Peter has been in a few episodes. We've done nothing but episodes revolving around extreme sports movies. My podcast that I was doing, the movie is starting. The payment plan for the hosting of it was getting to be a little too expensive, so I decided to cancel my account there, and now I'm doing it all on YouTube instead. So I'm currently uploading all of the old episodes on my YouTube channel. So do a search for with a comma, the movie is starting. Give us a subscription. I've got 3 episodes up currently. I have episode 4 and 5 queued to be released at different times tomorrow because I won't be around to actually upload them tomorrow at all. So I'm doing it tonight. So 3 episodes that are up right now from season 1 are the pilot episode where we watch The Wraith, episode 2, which was Willow with Brian Graupner of the Gothicals, which is awesome episode. Episode 3 I released today, and that is my science project. Tomorrow in the morning is going to be releasing Showgirls, NC-17 boobage, and in the afternoon it is going to be I Come in Peace with Dolph Lundgren. So the podcast is the episodes are just the podcast with like a picture put over it. You can still do it the same way we did before. You just have to download the audio to watch or to hear the podcast, and you watch it with the movie that we're watching in the podcast. Did that make any sense? I don't know. I'm tired and my throat hurts. Anyway, so go and give that channel of mine a subscription if you can. Like I said, the movie is starting. Give them a subscription. And I'm going to be constantly uploading new episodes until we get all the way through the one that we released back in, what was it, July? I think was the last episode we released was back in July. So that's where it's going to continue on from this point forward on YouTube. So I will talk to you next Thursday. Have a good night, everybody. Let me get out of this calendar so I can see the chat. Can't wait to catch the podcast. The Wraith, love that movie. Yep, that was our pilot episode. It took 3 times to get the pilot going. So the first, we'll talk a little bit while, because I don't have any more games to talk about. But yeah, for the first episode, for our pilot episode, we did it 3 different times, and it was a different movie each time. So I picked for the first episode Flash Gordon. And I was like, there's a lot to talk about because there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Because like a whole concept between my podcast is me and my buddy Jeremiah, who used to be a performer. Now he is a comic book writer. The whole idea is we record a commentary track for a movie. And the first episode, the pilot, is just me and Jeremiah. We can introduce ourselves so everyone can get to know us. And then every episode after that, we invite a guest to join us and we let them pick a movie. And the whole rules for the picking is we only watch movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and we ask the guest to pick a movie that they're familiar with from their youth so we can actually talk about it a lot, on top of making fun of it like Mystery Science Theater 3000. Most of the time, we just evolved into doing the MST3K thing, and we rarely ever talked about the movie outside of that. But we've had a lot of great guests. I've had some pretty awesome musicians and stuff, and pretty awesome YouTubers also, like Peter. Jason from Corpse Flood's been on a bunch of times. Church the Game Grinder, Michael B. the Game Genie, the Q Dogs, Musty Hobbit was in an episode. So for the first pilot, I said, let's pick Flash Gordon to watch. There'll be a lot to talk about behind the scenes stuff because all the shit that went under in the making of that movie and how awesome the movie looks in the way of costumes and set design and special effects and all that. And we can also make fun of it because it's cheesy as all hell. I mean, I love the movie, but you can make fun of that movie very easily. And the thing was, I had bought this cable that hooks into the charging point, charging port of my phone that lets you hook a microphone up to the phone. And I was using an app to record the audio through my phone we had a microphone attached to it, and it worked. When I was using it on its own, I did a couple of tests and it sounded fine. Only thing was, it stopped after like the first half an hour of recording, and I didn't notice it. So we watched the entire movie beginning to end, which is 2 hours. And then I looked, and like an hour and a half of the podcast was not there. So I'm like, well, we got to do it again. But Jeremiah didn't want to watch the same movie again because we just were repeating, and it would sound repeating what we were saying originally, and it would sound rehearsed. So he's like, hey, let's do it again, but let's watch Maximum Overdrive. And I'm like, okay, fine. We'll try this again with a different method. And for some reason, like the microphone got like disconnected somehow because I'm using the microphone we were using all the time is the one that I'm currently using right now. It's a Blue Yeti. And I don't know how, but like somehow the cable got disconnected a little bit and it never recorded and I never noticed it. So we watched the entire movie back to front, didn't have any audio to show for it. So I'm like, we got to do it again. And Jeremiah's like, Jesus Christ. Okay, well, let's pick something else now. So Jeremiah was like, let's watch The Wraith. That one's easy enough. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll do it the way I used to do it, the old way, because I used to do the same exact thing on an older podcast with another dude that I used to hang out with called Van Damme That's Good. I'm like, I'll just do it the old-fashioned way that I did with that, where we used Audacity, which is a free program you can download off the web, and it's an audio editing, recording suite. And I'm like, I'll just use Audacity on my laptop, and we'll record it that way. We've used Audacity for every episode since, and have never had problems. Then we changed over to using StreamYard because we were getting people to record. So the way the podcast started off, like I said, was always people coming over to my place and recording with Audacity. But then I started saying, like, there's only so many people I know that'd be willing to do this. There's a lot of people that showed up in the first season or people I'd never met before. Like Brian Graupner of the Gotsicles, who did Willow with us. I saw that I'm a friend with him through another friend from my childhood. And I saw that he's always posting movie stuff. And I was just kind of like, I'll send out a feeler, see if he's interested. I'm like, hey, dude, I do this podcast. We're doing we record a commentary track to a movie. Would you be interested in being a guest? And he immediately said, yeah, but I never met him before. And I invited him into my house. So Jeremiah, I was like, be here before this dude shows up just in case he ends up being a creep and we have to kick him out. Turns out to be one of the coolest guys I've ever met. So we're inviting people over here to record, but eventually I'm like, we're running out of people to invite over that, you know, from his friends and my friends that are willing to do this. I'm going to have to start doing this over the internet. So we ended up using, was it StreamYard? We were using, I can't remember what app we were using. Was it Hangouts? I think we were using Hangouts at first, and then we switched over to StreamYard. So the way we would do it that way was we would be watching each other on StreamYard or Hangouts or whatever it was, and with one computer, and I had another computer recording audio on our audio on Audacity, and then I'd have our guest recording their own audio on Audacity or whatever program they had on their end, and then they would send me the audio, and I would match them up and make one file, and that would be the podcast. Eventually, I just said, the hell with that. If we were doing it with somebody online, I'm just going to, like, especially when it came to StreamYard, I would broadcast to a private video file on my YouTube channel of all of us talking, and we're doing the commentary track, and then I would just export the audio from that into Audacity and then edit it that way. It made it so much easier. Instead of having to wait for somebody to send me a file, if their file was screwed up, I couldn't do anything about it. That's how the Radical Reggie episode that we did got screwed up, because he was recording on his phone, and it came out sounded like he was talking on a phone, and it sounded horrible. And we sounded good because we were using a good mic. So we ended up having to record that episode twice. But like once we started doing it on StreamYard, I would go live, stream to my channel. It would be a private video that only I could see. I would download the episode, rip the audio off of it, edit it, and then that was the episode. So long story short. But yeah, we ended up watching not only Maximum Overdrive, but Flash Gordon later on in the series with other guests. Actually, the same guest picked both of those movies randomly. We never told him we wanted to watch them, but he ended up picking Flash Gordon one season, and then the next season he was like, I want to watch Maximum Overdrive. And we're like, well, those are two other movies we used for our pilot that never got released. So there's that. So keep an eye out for that. I'm releasing episodes every single day. Tomorrow I'm releasing 2 because I'm trying to get everything that's already done out of the way so we can start making new episodes again. So, like I said, go and check out that channel if you can. Like I said, the movie is starting. I'm going to go and put another episode up when this is over for tomorrow, and then maybe another one that I'm going to have scheduled for Saturday. So check that out. I'll see you guys here next Thursday for part 7 of the PlayStation 4 streams. Have a good night, everybody. Great to see this many people coming and hanging out with me. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Stay safe out there. I will talk to you later. Chris from Midlife Crisis Media out.